Hi everyone, Mr. Peabody here. I'm going to talk to you about natural immunity, vaccines, and the current vaccines. And a lot of this stuff you already know. You know, natural immunity is when a pathogen or a virus enters your body. Your body recognizes it shouldn't be there, forms a defense force, makes antibodies, and attacks it and gets rid of it. Now, how long this takes depends on each individual's immune response. But that's the way it works, and once the body has actually done that, that goes into a memory bank, and your body remembers that. So if the same thing comes along again, your body already has the blueprints to make the defenses that it needs to get rid of it. So, all done. Now, the original vaccines that we've all had, you know, the tried and tested vaccines we've had, we've all been injected with them. Now, the way they work is they get the actual virus or whatever it is, and they make a less virulent version. So a less virulent version is the same virus, but it does less damage to your body. But all the receptors on it are exactly the same as the normal virus. So they put that into a serum and they inject that into your body. So you're actually getting injected with the actual virus. And that goes into your body, doesn't do as much damage as the normal virus would, and your body recognizes it, builds a defense force, and fights it off, gets rid of it, and puts that in the memory banks. So that's all good. So if that comes along again, your body recognizes it and says, well, I've already got the blueprints, there's the defense, all done and dusted. Now, mRNA vaccines work on a different level. Now, you know, DNA, that tells each cell what it's going to be. Alright, so whether it's skin, a blood vessel, muscle tissue, DNA tells each cell what it's going to be and how many of it they need. RNA is like a little blueprint given to each cell in your body. Every cell in your body is designed to do a different function and to perform a different task or to produce a different thing. So, but the mRNA vaccines, what they do is they just inject that into your body, and that gets picked up by the receptors on the cells, and the cells are all of a sudden given this RNA. So what you were doing before, you can stop that. We need you to produce these antibodies. Obviously it's not every cell in your body, but the cells that matter, the ones that actually do produce antibodies. And so the body just produces antibodies. It doesn't recognize any virus, it doesn't recognize any threat, it just gets told to produce antibodies. So you get the first shot, you get a level of antibodies in the system, you get the second shot, that increases the level of antibodies in your blood system. This is, as I said, this is only the blood system. And so you've got a whole lot of antibodies in your blood system, so that if COVID-19 comes along and gets into your blood system, you've got a whole lot of antibodies to attack it and get rid of it. But your blood system does get filtered, and as you know, old cells get ejected and new cells get born. So eventually the level of antibodies in your system is going to go. So then of course they say, well, now you need a booster shot. And the booster shot does exactly the same thing as the first two shots did. It doesn't say that there's a virus there, it just says to your cells to produce antibodies. So that brings your antibodies back up. So I believe that, these mRNA vaccines, you're going to need a booster shot between every 6 to 12 months. Every year. And probably every 6 months. To keep those antibody levels in your blood system up against COVID-19. Now eventually your antibody level will drop a bit, and if COVID-19 does infect your body and does get into your bloodstream, then your normal defenses will attack that, and eventually you'll get a memory for that, so your body will develop natural immunity. But here's the other problem. Two major systems in your body that don't actually cross lines. Your blood system, right? Your cardiovascular you know, your circulatory system. Your circulatory system and your respiratory system. They are two different systems. They work in conjunction with each other, and they work very closely with each other, but they do not cross lines. That's why you don't end up with air in your blood system, which would really fuck you up, and you don't end up with blood in your lungs, which would fuck you up. And so, two different systems, and COVID-19 mainly goes for the respiratory system. Now, the respiratory system has a different setup for fighting off infections. So, if you've got antibodies in your bloodstream for COVID-19, it does squat for the respiratory system, so you can still get COVID-19 in your respiratory system, and eventually what happens is that the virus builds up and crosses over into the bloodstream, in which case the antibodies in your bloodstream will fight off the infection. So you can see that you're not really covered with these mRNA vaccines. You're only half covered. If it gets straight into your bloodstream, then you're covered, but not your respiratory system. An example, the last week, they made a big point of saying there's two people in Queensland, and they both tested positive for COVID-19. The test is another thing, but they both tested positive for 19, but the press made a big point. It's like saying, and one of them was unvaccinated. Yeah, well, you sort of shot yourself in the foot with that one. Yeah, unvaccinated and you've got COVID-19. What a horrible person. Everybody should get vaccinated. But they shot themselves in the foot because obviously the other person was vaccinated. Otherwise they would have said two people with COVID-19, both unvaccinated. But no, they didn't say that. They said one person was unvaccinated. So that means the other person was vaccinated and they've got COVID-19 too. What a surprise, surprise. So that vaccine, yeah, fully doing its job in the circulatory system, not the respiration system. So, just a thought. See ya.